Hi guys, Virginia here and I'm back with another 12 by 12 process video for you today, and this one's for the Kitaholic Kits design team. I'm just showing you the photo I've got of Edison. She's come home from kindy and she had a whole bunch of paintings and some reindeer food for Christmas. So this is kind of a Christmas photo, but it goes with this cut file that I'm using. It's one of the exclusive ones for Kitaholic Kits this month, and I'm using the February kit. So what I'm going to do is, in the kit there was a little bag of little hearts and stars sequins, so I want to make a shaker pocket in that centre star that's on the word magic. I thought that would be a nice little detail, so I'm just popping some acetate behind it. That's going to be my first piece that I work on for this cut file. So I've just glued it on. I'm just trimming off the excess, and then it'll be ready to go and I can back the rest of the cut file. Okay, I'll just tidy up after myself. Okay, so I'm going to go through the 12 by 12 papers and find something that I think I could use for my background, and that's going to kind of indicate where I should go with for the colour of this cut file. And I thought about black and pink with a pink background, and I like the pink background, but then I decided to go with the teal coloured pattern paper for the word magic. I felt like that was a bit softer colour scheme. So what I'm going to do is basically line it up because I want that star shape cut out. I'm just going to position it on my pattern paper. I'm going to trace around that star with a pencil. And then I am going to use my little We Are Memory Keepers craft knife, and I'm just going to cut just inside that pencil line, and then I've got a star popped out, and that should fit exactly within that acetate shape. So there we go. Super easy. Now I can just quickly erase those pencil lines because they were peeking out a little bit outside the cut file, and I'm going to glue this cut file onto the pattern paper. So I'm just going to do the A and the star first, just so that I can line it up properly and not get glue everywhere. And that's all lined up, so then I can flick up the sides and just glue the rest of the cut file down. Now the stars that are connected to that letter C, I'm going to back with a different colour pattern paper, so I'm just kind of omitting those bits with glue. You can see there I'm going around the star shape instead of the actual C. And then I'll go ahead and do the rest, and I can trim around my cut file easily, and it's all done. So I've done the stars as well. I've backed them with pattern papers from the kit, and I'm just going to form this kind of barrier for the sequins around that star. I'm not being super pedantic with like a solid line. I can make these large pieces kind of meet together well enough to stop those sequins falling out. So I'm just forming the shape of the star. And I'm just going to pop a little bit just to finish that off, and then I'm going to back the rest of the cut file and those loose stars with foam adhesive as well. So there we go, that's all done. I'm going to pop some adhesive behind these stars, or foam. And I can start by creating the layout. So I'm just going to cut the branding strip off and pop that on my page. So for my photo, I'm going to kind of bring in that green that's on the word magic. So I'm going to use that as my first photo mat. And I'm just looking around for something else that I think I could make work. These are the 4x6 cut apart sheets of pattern paper from the Pocket Page kit. I like to use them for cut files because then I don't have to cut into my 12 by 12 pattern papers immediately. So I'm just trying to find one that will fit that photo. Okay, so just adhering that on with my ATG and trimming around the excess. So that's all I'm going to do for my photo layers. I'm going to keep it rather simple. I'm going to pop my photo up on some adhesive foam just so that it's the same height as that cut file, and kind of tuck it in that spot between the word just and that star. It's kind of the perfect spot for a photo. And I'm going to pull everything down to the bottom centre of the layout, and that means my photo is kind of almost central on the page, and that gives me room to embellish up the top with those stars. Okay, so I'm going through the exclusive die cuts that we've got this month. There's 2 bags of them in this little container, and there's a ton. I don't think I'll ever get through them, but there's a bunch of cool little words and stuff in there, so I'm going to pull out some of them. I found a little blue banner that I tucked underneath that star where my shaker pocket's going to be, and I'm just continuing to find some other pieces that will work. I want to bring in some labels. They're great to kind of tuck in your photo layers. They add little pops of colour. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just going to add a yellow and a pink, and I think I bring in a blue as well. Yep, and the word yummy, because it's we've got reindeer food there. Okay. Rightio, so I'm going to go through, these are the die cuts for the Dealers in New Day collection. This came in the kit as well. So I'm just going to have a little sift through them and see if I can find something that'll work. I did take off that blue label. I felt like there was a bit too much going on up there. So I'm just looking, thinking I want to find something that would be a great base or starting point for a cluster. So I'm just looking through. I thought about a tag, and I came across this. I used the cactus off the top of it, so I'm just going to trim it out. And I decided to use that as my banner underneath that star. I felt like it added a bit nice pop of gold down there and kind of fit around that letter A slightly better. We've got a large, is a llama or alpaca, whatever you want to call it. I thought that was cute. Obviously there's no reindeer in these die cuts, so it goes just fine. I'm sure they'd eat reindeer food as well, wouldn't they? Okay, so that's going to be kind of this base or a main piece to one of my clusters. I'm going to go through the stickers. This is the same collection, and I found this little banner, collect moments, not things. I thought that was a great another base starting point for a cluster up the top. So I'm going to tuck that up there, and I'm bringing in some stars, all the stars, and just kind of sprinkling them around those clusters and around that star shaker pocket. And we're going through the chipboard and bringing in some of those stars as well. I'm not going to do too much embellishing. I don't feel like it needed it. That large title kind of does all the work for you. That's a great thing about cut files. Just continuing with the stars, trying to get them scattered around, that colours evenly distributed. And I popped that little pig on. I thought, why not? I love that little pig. So it's going on the layout. And a little pink and green tassel, and that's kind of bringing in those colours, those main colours that are in the layout, and then just tuck that under the letter J, and it looks like it's hanging off it. And it brings a pop of interest over to that pig, so he's not so alone over there. I'm going through the puffy stickers. I did think I could get that little green puffy llama on, but it was a bit, it stood out a bit too much down there. It wasn't quite at home. So these little enamel shapes, these are from the Chamel Here in the Clouds collection, and I'm bringing in a few pink and green, again reinforcing those colours onto the layout around those clusters, and it's another texture as well. Okay, so I'm rather happy with this. I'm going to glue everything down. I'm going to make sure I pop glue behind those chipboard stickers, because I tend to not want to stick. And then I'm just going to start with my base layers and glue my way up pretty much. Just continuing to add glue behind each of those pieces. And I'm going to glue the things down that are on top of my cut file first, so that I can just pick it all up and pop it in place. So this banner is going to be popped up on some foam. And I'll glue that in place. And my little XOXO, I'm just going to glue under it, tuck it under it, fits there perfectly. My little pig. And then I can flip the entire thing over in a minute. And just dump a whole lot of those little sequins in there. Just in where I want that shaker pocket, and then I can glue the entire cut file down. So I'm making sure that there's glue around the entire edge of that star, so that those little tiny sequins don't fall out. Pop that in place. Can glue that tassel down. And work on my photo. This was a really super quick layout for me, which was really a nice change of pace. Just going to continue with those layers on the photo. This little word I'm going to pop up on some foam. Glue that down. And just finish off these stars to the left of the photo. And I wanted something else just to kind of add to the magical feel of the layout. So I'm going to use some white Liquitex acrylic ink and splatter that around those stars and on top of that shaker pocket. And then I do come in with some gold as well. Just in the same Liquitex acrylic ink. This is my favourite to use for splatters. So just coming in with the gold now. Just adding that. And I felt a little empty to the top left or left hand side of the page or down the bottom. I wasn't quite sure, so I bring in this black, and the reason I brought in black is because there is one black star and there's no other black on the layout, so I wanted to make sure that I brought in another of the same colour. So I've brought out my trusty notebook punch. I'm kind of obsessed with this thing at the moment, but anyway, I'm going to punch it down the left hand top side of this layout, and then I'm just going to trim off a bit of that black pattern paper. Pop some ATG tape on it, and then pop it behind my layout where that punch has been, and that's going to provide a pop of black up there. I'm just going to ruffle up those edges. They're going to add texture, and that kind of finishes it off. It brings a bit more weight to the left hand side of the page instead of having everything focused just on those stars. And that's it for my layout. So I hope you enjoy the process, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.